Alright guys, so we are back with another tackle tip video. This one's going to be over live scope, and I'm just going to go ahead and apologize now. I'm a little bit under the weather, but that's alright. But yeah, let's get right into it. Alright, so starting off, this is the most important thing, obviously. This is your transducer. Alright, at least my transducer. This is a LVS 34 Garmin. I've used Lowrance Active Target and the Garmin LVS 32, and the Lowrance Active Target just kind of sucks. I've not used their Active Target 2 though, so I can't really speak on that, but the first one absolutely sucks. There's no comparison between the Garmin first gen and the Lowrance first gen. Garmin's just so much better. All right, so the main thing you want to do here is you want to make sure that A, your transducer is pointing the right way, B, that it's like in the right orientation. You can see that Garmin has these like little dots right here. So this would be down, I think. Actually, that might be from perspective, and that might be down. I have no clue. I keep mine always in forward facing. That is the last dot, or the last like little line. And then lastly, you want to make sure that it is straight on your trolling motor. You can see that this is perfectly straight. I think it's perfectly straight. Anyways, perfectly straight. You want it in line because when you're up there, you're casting. You want to make sure that when you make that cast, you're getting it right on those fish, and you can line it up with this arrow right here. That is the most important part, because if you can't get it in front of the fish, that fish is not going to bite. Okay, so I am running my live scope off of a Echo Map, the first Echo Map. It's a 12, I don't even remember. It's a 12-inch. I would not use anything below a 10 at least. You're just gonna be able to see your bait better the bigger your screen is. Alright, so another very important thing is your battery setup. So you want to run a lithium to it so you can have the clearest picture quality, everything under the sun. We currently have a Lithium Pro hooked up to ours. Never had an issue with it. And that Impulse we have hooked up to our trolling motor. It has also never had an issue with it. They are really good batteries. We've not had an issue with any of them dying. Excuse me. Not had an issue with any of them dying or anything like that. They're just really nice. You definitely want to have one of those hooked up. Okay guys, I'm sorry. I don't have the hookup attachments to where I can be able to like hook my phone up to this and get it showing on that. So this is just kind of what we're gonna have to roll with here. So the very first thing, when I got my thing in the water, or my transducer in the water, I changed the depth off of auto, and the I don't even know if that goes to auto. Oh, it does. I also changed the forward facing depth or length off of auto. Why I did this is because when you're panning around, you could be panning around into 12 foot of water and then back out to 30. And when you're doing that, your screen is constantly rearranging itself. And I know that I noticed that it's a whole lot better. Garmin's auto is a whole lot better than Lowrance's auto. Lowrance's auto, you can't tell fish if it's like that. But with the Garmin, you can still tell fish and stuff. It's just annoying, and it makes it a little bit harder. So I like to run my depth 5 feet below what the actual bottom depth is, so I can see those fish roaming around on the bottom. And my forward, I always keep it 100, unless I'm crappie fishing, then I'll back it down to about 20. Or well, 20 when I find the school of crappie. Other than that, I'll keep it at 100, just kind of looking for the crappie. And then gain, I will always bump it up really high to where I can start seeing all this red, so I know I'm seeing everything. And then I'll bump it back down a little bit, probably about to there. And then for the important settings that no one talks about, You go to sonar setup, appearance. All right, so my color scheme that I run is amber. That's all personal preference. That's all whatever anybody wants. That's totally up to you. My color gain, I run that 80 to 90. So what this does is when you throw out your crappie jig or your forward-facing sonar minnow or whatever you use, I generally use Yum's forward-facing sonar minnow. So you have to really settle on a jig head that I like, but that's besides the point. When you do that, it's going to make that brighter. It's going to make it easier to find. It's going to make it easier to track, easier to keep up over that fish because you know where your bait's at. So that color gain, extremely, extremely important. Crap. I'm not the brightest sometimes. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. All right. So going back into that, your color limit, to be honest, I have no clue what that does. I keep it at default. Trails, basically, that's gonna have you a trail behind your bait and behind fish so you can kind of tell where that's going. I don't personally use it, but some people might enjoy that. I don't. Bottom fill, again, I have no clue what that does, so I just leave it alone. Grid overlay. This I recommend when you're first getting into live scope because it helps you learn how big those fish are, and it helps it easier. Like if you have one taking up this whole box right here, that is not a bass. That is 5 foot long. That sucker is 5 foot long. It is not a bass. But if you have one taking up, I don't know, maybe a quarter of it, that's probably a bass. Probably a bass. So that helps with determining what fish are and whatnot. I don't use it personally because generally I kind of know what things are nowadays, and I don't really like the clutter on my screen. Scroll history, I don't know what that does. On-screen control, I keep that on. That is your quick changes like your gain, your depth, all that. Reverse range, minimum, I don't really need to see behind the boat because that's kind of irrelevant. Most of the time when the fish get past the boat, they don't really bite again. I mean, they will sometimes, but usually if they see the boat, they're kind of done. Ghost reject, off. I want to make sure I'm seeing everything. I don't really care if the ghost tree is there or not. That's really irrelevant to me. I'll just power through it and work through it. And basically, the ghost tree shows up like right here. It's just like, it looks like a tree. Overlay data. I keep most of this on just so I can kind of see what I'm working with here. Device voltage, that's pretty important. Kind of seeing what's coming to your electronics. You want it, the higher the better. I mean, I'm not saying hook a 24 volt battery up to this, but you basically want more voltage because you're getting a clear picture. Water temp, yeah, obviously, all that stuff. That's all personal preference. Transducer hot, nice. Yeah, also, don't like, I don't know how to explain it. Probably try not to get your transducer hot a lot, and that's probably not a good thing for it. All this is just based on what you have. Kind of mess around with that for what you're doing, and when you're installing it. TVG, no clue what that is. Noise rejects, I keep that off. That basically would just take away some things that you could be seeing and might accidentally take a fish away. I don't know, I've not heard of that happening, but that's what I think. I can just deal with the extra clutter, at least for stuff that shows up that I want to see. But that is basically all those settings, all the important stuff. I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna put this in like store mode and actually take you through what the changes do. Alright, so here we are. So basically, taking that off of auto, taking this off of auto, and this is where I'd have it for the situation. I have it at 55 foot, 100 foot out. You can see your balls of bait right there. That's probably a bass. And then I would take my gain up, bump it really high, and then bump it back down a little bit. But you can honestly probably keep it at about 78 for this. You see a bait falling down right there? Dude just caught a crappie. I'm assuming that's what those were. It didn't really look like bass, but for some reason, sometimes, yes, depending on the deal you're doing. I think this is just this simulator, but sometimes you can not see stuff very well. But like this, you can obviously see that's a bridge piling. There's a fish right there. There's bait right there. And it's all your fun stuff. Alright guys, so that is the end of part 1. The next part will be about baits and lures that I use, applications I do, just little things to help those fish bite. But I will see you guys then. Hopefully you did enjoy this one. Drop a comment down below, let me know what you think. If you have any more questions about transducers, all that stuff, that is one of the things that I actually do know a decent bit about when it comes to this whole bass fishing thing. I may not be able to catch them all the time on it, but I can definitely tell you what to do on it and stuff like that. But I will see you guys in the next one.